Today, in the quiet, unassuming town of Oinkton, there lived a pig unlike any other. His name was John Pork. Now, John wasn't your average farm animal. He had a certain flair, a panache, you might even say a human-like quality that set him apart. He enjoyed the finer things in life, a good mud bath, sun-ripened apples, and most importantly, his freedom. But Oinkton had a dark side, a shadow that loomed over every pig in town. The dreaded butcher shop, the chop house, run by the menacing figure known only as Silas. Silas was a man of few words and many cleavers. His eyes, sharp as his blades, seemed to see right through to the juiciest cuts. And for weeks, his gaze had been fixed on one particular prize. John Pork, Silas, had heard the whispers, the legends of the pig with the oddly human face, and he believed that a sausage made from such a legend would make him famous throughout the land. One crisp autumn morning, the air thick with the smell of fallen leaves, John was enjoying a particularly delightful truffle he'd unearthed near the edge of the woods. Sully, the distinct, ominous sound of a sharpening stone on steel sliced through the morning calm. John's head shot up. He knew that sound. It was the butcher's song. Peeking through the foliage, he saw him. Silas, a grim smile on his face, a long, coiled rope in one hand and a net in the other, was creeping towards him. A jolt of pure adrenaline shot through John. This was it. The moment he'd always dreaded. He wasn't destined to become a breakfast special. With a snort that was more a war cry than a pig's call, John turned tail and bolted. The chase was on. He darted through the woods, his trotters pounding the earth. Low-hanging branches whipped at his face, but he didn't slow down. He could hear Silas's heavy footsteps crashing behind him, accompanied by gruff shouts. "Come here, you prized pig! Your destiny awaits on my cutting board!" John knew the woods better than anyone. He swerved left, leaping over a babbling brook in a surprisingly graceful arc. He heard a loud splash and a curse behind him. A quick glance showed Silas sputtering in the cold water. It bought him a few precious seconds. He couldn't just run. He had to be smart. He headed for Old Man Hemlock's farm, a labyrinth of hay bales, rusty equipment, and cranky chickens. As he burst into the barnyard, the chickens scattered in a flurry of feathers and squawks. John weaved expertly between a forgotten tractor and a mountain of hay. Shift! He dove into the barn, the scent of hay and dust filling his nostrils. He needed a place to hide. Behind him, Silas emerged from the woods, dripping and furious. He scanned the chaotic farmyard. "I know you're in here, Pork. You can't hide from me forever." Inside the dim barn, John's heart was a drum against his ribs. He saw a pile of empty burlap sacks in a corner. An idea sparked, working quickly. He nudged and pushed the sacks, arranging them into a vaguely person-shaped mound. He then grabbed a discarded farmer's hat and perched it on top. It was a long shot, but it was all he had. He then squeezed himself into a large, empty grain barrel nearby, pulling the heavy wooden lid mostly shut, leaving just a tiny crack to peer through. He held his breath. There, heavy barn doors creaked open, casting a long, menacing silhouette. Silas stepped inside, his cleaver glinting in the slivers of light. His eyes scanned the barn. They passed over the barrel, then stopped, fixated on the pile of sacks. "Aha! Got you!" Silas roared, charging forward. Swung, a massive net, bringing it down perfectly over the burlap decoy. There's no escaping now. Jed, struggling with the resisting figure. As he pulled the net tight, the sacks tumbled over, the hat rolling comically across the floor. For a moment, there was silence. Then, a roar of pure rage. "Tricked me! Have you?" This was John's chance. He burst from the barrel, sending the lid flying. He didn't run for the main entrance where Silas stood. Instead, he charged towards the back of the barn, where a loose plank had always offered a secret exit. With a powerful heave of his shoulders, he smashed through the plank and was back in the open air. He didn't stop running. He crossed fields and meadows, putting as much distance as he could between himself and the enraged butcher. He knew Silas wouldn't give up easily. Les was no longer just about becoming sausage. It was personal. John had made a fool of him. As dusk began to settle, John found himself at the edge of the Great Swanton Swamp, a place most folks avoided. It was murky, confusing, and full of strange noises. But for John, it was a sanctuary. He waded into the murky water, the tall reeds closing behind him like a curtain. He found a small, dry islet in the middle of the swamp, hidden from view. Exhausted, muddy, but alive, he collapsed. He could still hear the distant, frustrated shouts of the butcher echoing across the landscape, but they were growing fainter. He had won the day. John Pork looked up at the stars beginning to pepper the night sky. He was more than just a pig with a funny face. He was a survivor. He was a legend in the making. He knew, with a certainty that settled deep in his bones, that his adventure was far from over. The butcher would be back, but John Pork would be ready. For now, he rested, the quiet hum of the swamp his lullaby, dreaming of freedom and a world where he was the master of his own destiny. And maybe, just maybe, a few more of those delicious truffles. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow for the next chapter in the adventures of John Pork.